Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of September 2nd, 2018. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. Happy September to everybody out there. And what an amazing week it is. We have an active sky and we have an important sky. We have the end of a major cycle. We have planets shifting and the beginning of another. I mean, if you thought the year of retrogrades is over, we are just about to buckle in as we move towards the end of the year. That is how important what happens now is. And so what is one of the longer range things that is happening that really is what I think a lot of people are paying attention to? We're certainly seeing it on a pop culture level. And that is Venus going into shadow early in the week, right around the 3rd of the month, of give or take a day on either side, depending on where you are on the planet. Well, that is when Venus is going to enter shadow. And with Venus entering shadow, there are a few things that are important here to watch. Where it is that Venus is throughout this week, okay, right to the end of the week, this is where she is going to spend all of November. So it is really important to pay attention to what is happening in your life right now. Venus is goddess of love and beauty, and ultimately her retrograde season asks us, do you love it? Do you love this person, place, thing, situation? Do you love this part of your life where it is that she is going retrograde? Because this is where you're going to get these other insights, this other perspective, and a deeper perspective at that. This is where you're going to get to look at yourself more deeply and be more honest with yourself about whether or not you do love a particular area of life, but also many areas of life. Now, it is going to be this week that Venus is going to be in the sign of Libra, where she is spending part of the retrograde season. And next week she will move into the sign of Scorpio, where much of the retrograde season is also going to be taking place. So I'll save some of this analysis of Venus, particularly for next week, but particularly for the Venus retrograde special horoscope, of course. So be on the lookout for that. That is going to be published on my YouTube channel this week, as well as previews for all the signs as well. But the thing to remember about what's happening right now, you know, I am been very interested. I've been very interested in contemplating and observing, as have other astrologers as well. Notably, my friend who's been on my channel before, Cosmic Homegirl. You can see her channel on YouTube as well. She did this whole special diving into the recent saga with a lot of the beauty gurus, right? If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's totally okay. But essentially what's been happening is a lot of drama with a lot of the beauty influencers, particularly on YouTube, and people who've made their mark with doing different beauty oriented things, right? Like doing makeup. Personally, in my own life, when I'm not doing astrology, that's like one of the secret things I do to like kind of wind down, is I like to watch makeup tutorials. There you go. But it's been very interesting to see how a lot has been coming forward these last few weeks. And it's not that I'm saying that there's a clear-cut answer, that we're getting to some truth, but there is a lot of complexity that is coming forward, and people are realizing that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, and that ultimately it's a lot of human beings. And some like to engage with the world in a more evolved way than maybe others do, and a lot of opinion as well, right? And where's the love? Where is the genuine love for what you're doing when you are creating beauty videos, for example? And I think that that's been a big question that a lot of people have been asking. And I think it is going to be this Venus retrograde season that is going to be an important part of helping us all to understand like what is really beautiful, what is really going on behind the scenes. And I think that this is going to be a powerful time where more is going to be revealed. But you should notice that in the coming weeks, in the coming months, there are going to be more revelations, more changes, people realizing this isn't what they want to do. And for this week in particular, keep in mind that as we get to the end of this week, as Venus speaks with Mars, this is going to be one of the defining characteristics of this larger Venus retrograde season. This is going to be a conversation that's going to be repeated again 2 more times and is going to come to characterize this time for us. And when you think about Mars, right? Mars has to do with passion, it has to do with intensity, it has to do with self-knowledge and a conviction about who you are and knowing that you can live true to yourself. And I do feel that this week is going to be important in terms of what we're going to see with relationships. That's Venus in Libra. We are going to come to understand more deeply what are the alliances that people make behind the scenes. If we're still talking about beauty influencers, what are the alliances that they make? What are the partnerships they make? What is some of the truth of those bonds? And where is it that it's not so harmonious anymore? We may see some of that come up this week, but because Venus is in shadow, I feel like much more has to be revealed, especially once we get into November. That is when people are going to be making some very strong declarations at that part. I did watch one video. There was a beauty influencer, and she started off her video by saying, and I thought this was fascinating, she started off by saying, you guys know I don't like doing this. I am not somebody who's into beauty, and I am not into making these videos, but I do it because the pay is good. And then she went on to have this very eloquent, very philosophical discussion and perspective about what's been going on from her perspective as a fellow influencer. And I thought that was fascinating. It was just fascinating to me that she was able to be so bold and she was able to be so clear about her intention. And I thought, this is Venus retrograde season. We're at the very beginning. We are going to start it now officially, but this is where we're getting another look. And this is where, if you are doing something that isn't really working for you anymore, or that you aren't really passionate about and you don't feel like there's a lot of love there, this is where you are going to be invited to evolve. Now, sometimes evolution happens very smoothly, very organically, right? Like we get an opportunity, we get to reflect, we get to look at ourselves more deeply, and we get to grow in the process, right? That is a beautiful way and an easy way that our evolution can happen. But sometimes our evolution and our awareness about what we really love and where is it that we are compromising what we love and what it is actually costing us, well, that can come about in ways that are a little bit more intense and can present some challenge to us. And that may be possible as we get towards the end of this week as Venus speaks with Mars. There is a sense with this conversation that all of us are going to be looking at what our ideals are, what it is that is truly beautiful, what is authentically beautiful, and where it is that there are some deeper truths within ourselves that we are not honoring. And in honoring that, we will cultivate a truer, more authentic form of beauty for us and uniquely for us. The other thing that's been interesting, as I've noticed as we're starting this week or ending last week as I'm making this video, is that there are videos right now going viral where people are challenging and presenting a different way of looking at beauty and inviting people to accept themselves more deeply. And I think that is going to be a theme we're going to see play out very strongly this week in particular, but also as part of the larger Venus retrograde season that we now are starting. So with Venus in Libra, keep in mind that this is very much about our partnerships. This is very much about our relationships, who we feel really loves us, who do we really love, who do we feel has our back or that we can really align with authentically. Where is it that some of our partnerships are superficial? Well, wherever that is going to show itself to us as we get to the end of the week in particular. But again, it is not the time necessarily to be making any kind of final answers, because what looks a certain way right now, you will get a whole other way to look at it come November. And November is going to be a very important month where it comes to matters of love and clarity in love. And just when you think you're totally done with a particular situation, or you see this side of a person and you don't like and you're done, well, we are going to get another look. We're going to get a deeper look. And the main thing is with Venus retrograde, very often what happens is we are looking at ourselves. I've seen further along just a little bit more about this beauty guru stuff. I have seen Some beauty gurus say things like, okay, I'm taking a break right now and I'm going to come back at some point in the future. And with Venus retrograde season, that's actually a really good idea, because this is a time more of contemplation about what it is that is authentically beautiful to us. And look, it's okay to think that what other people deem superficial is beautiful to you. That's great. If that's what you believe, then that is more than enough. If it matters to you, then it matters, period. At the same time, this is going to ask us to look at a deeper intention, and where is it that we are bringing love to a particular situation, but also bringing love to ourselves. I do think that some of us out there are going to have a real moment of awareness. But the great thing is, this week in particular, there are other very supportive things happening that do suggest we are able to make positive change, empowered change, liberating change that moves us in that direction that we are coming to understand that we are truly meant to go, especially if we are honoring, trusting, and listening to our own heart. So what is some of this very supportive stuff happening? Well, Mercury, I'm so excited about this. As we start the week, right out of the gate, Mercury will leave shadow, so the whole Mercury retrograde season is over. And as Mercury ends shadow, we'll immediately reach out and speak with Venus in harmony. Now, this is just before Venus enters shadow, so both of these planets going strong in the sky. And I feel as I look at this, that this is going to be the reward. After almost 2 months of Mercury retrograde season, with Mercury in shadow and then going retro and in shadow, well, as that shadow ends, this beautifully harmonious connection, it tells me that this is wherever it was that we felt that there was confusion or uncertainty, or even it's just a disconnection from confidence in one particular area of life, whether it's confidence in ourself, belief in ourself, knowing that we are worthy to shine and be seen, we are worthy of being heard as well. All of us in at least one area of life might have found ourselves contemplating that sense of belief a little bit more deeply. And with Mercury being retrograde, or the retrograde season being spent in the sign of Leo, well, Leo is all about heart. Leo rules the heart. And so I feel like it might have been a period of time where we were doing some questioning about where our heart truly lies. On a collective level, it's been interesting on the celebrity landscape with this. Well, look, this is where the rewards come. This is where we feel like the inner work we've done is now paying off. This is where we come to understand that there's something within us that we can trust. But also, this is where we get the opportunity to make some bold move, to express our most confident self and have it lead to gains. I see this connection between Mercury and Venus as very romantic, very much about fun and joy and connecting with people, whether new people or people that you've already got a bond with. And I actually do think that when we look at the end of the week, that Venus and Mars connection, it can actually be very passionate as well. Now, sometimes passion and attraction have layers of complexity to them, but there's something about, whether you want to call it opposites attract, or, feeling a sense of tension with another person that lends itself to wanting to connect with them more immediately. Well, that is part of how the energy this week certainly could play out as well. In the early part of the week, it is fun, it is rewarding. This is where things feel like they are coming together beautifully. So it is towards the end of the week that some deeper feelings may very well be stirred. It is in the last 3 days of the week that Mercury is going to start to be super active, will change signs, move into Earth sign Virgo, its home sign, putting it in a particularly powerful place, and then reaching out in supreme harmony with Uranus and with Saturn, forming a grand trine. Now, if this sounds familiar, I've talked about grand trine before, not that long ago actually, and that's because just a couple of weeks ago the sun was doing the same thing. This is where the sun was reaching out in supreme harmony with Saturn and with Uranus, two planets that are hanging their dance a little while longer before they start to separate. And this is incredibly powerful and incredibly fortunate as well. I feel like what started 2 weeks ago, what started as an idea, what started as an inspiration, what started in terms of what we were communicating with others or realizing about ourselves, about where it is that we can experience positive change quickly and with results that last. Well, this is where further conversations are going to take place in that same area, where we are following up with people, we're connecting with people. For some, there might even be some contracts involved as well, or some agreements made at this time. The one thing we are going to want to watch is under the same sky, it is going to be the sun standing across the sky from Neptune. And this conversation tells me with the sun in the same part of the sky that Mercury is in, there might be some sense of heightened expectations, or maybe not seeing certain details, or just really believing that the best is going to happen. And that's great, because the sky like this does say that great things can happen. However, whether it's our own fears that are coming up in the process, our own doubts, or whether it is genuinely that we're not wanting to see some key detail, that could be part of how this energy does play out. But for all that, there's every reason to be excited by this. There's every reason for hope. Not only is Mercury in a strong position in its home sign with this beautiful major configuration, but at the same time, early this week is when Saturn will stand still in the sky and move forward, which means that all this week, Saturn is in a very strong position as well. Saturn is in its home sign of Capricorn. And it is Saturn ultimately that is going to allow some tangible things to come up that change our lives in meaningful ways and in practical ways at that. This is where we can feel like our lives are moving forward and we're able to manifest those things that up until now might have felt a little bit frustrating. With Saturn moving through the sign of Capricorn, it is very much about being willing to work for what it is that you want. And with this sky, it tells me there may very well be opportunity to do the work and to leap our circumstances forward in a way that we love very much. Now, Saturn has been retrograde since the middle of April. That is a long time, right? And this has been a time where we have been asked to contemplate a deeper self-definition of success, to make sure that we are moving in the direction that we truly desire to go, and asking us to consider what are we willing to sacrifice on an inner level. So for some of us, it is sacrificing our inner critic, realizing that we are enough to achieve the things that we desire, and whatever doubts we have, we are willing to let them go. For others, it's been diligently working on where it is that you hope to make progress, whether or not that progress seemed like it was coming fast enough. Well, now with Saturn changing directions, it'll feel like there's that much more momentum that'll start growing more and more to help you to feel like you're able to make those tangible gains and to move your life in a direction that you deem to be one of success. What I love about this week for us, well, look, there's a lot to love here, but I do think Saturn moving forward and that beautiful grand trine, the power position that Saturn is in, and the strong position that Mercury is in as well, I think that these together are going to be part of what helps us to feel like the universe is very much on our side, because it certainly is. This is going to help us to welcome in synchronistic moments, running into the right person at the right time, making the right connection, and having the right conversation that helps us to see things differently. And part of what we're going to see differently is just how possible our goals actually are if we allow ourselves to believe so. At the same time, it is amazing that Venus is now going into shadow. Like I said, I have a lot to say about that, and I will be saying that later this week. But at least for now, what is very comforting is that we are all in our own lives going to get to a place of deeper truth within ourselves, so that we ensure that we live a life that we love. And the answers are actually going to surprise us. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm so grateful for it. What are you excited about this week? How are you feeling going into this Venus retrograde season? How are you feeling with Saturn now moving forward early in the week? Let me know in the comments below. I absolutely love reading you guys here on YouTube, and of course interacting with you guys on social media. Facebook and Instagram are the main spaces where I am most active, and those links should be in the description as well. You can find out what all this wonderful stuff this week means for you and your sign by logging on to astrofabulous.com or nadiyashah.com. Sign up to be one of my superstars. Superstars get expanded exclusive video scopes each and every week, and unlimited access to special horoscopes and so much more. All of this in the superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Venus retrograde specials are going to be posted in the early part of this week in the superstar space and on my website as well. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you so much to all the people who are online with me on Instagram and on Facebook to celebrate 12 years as a full-time astrologer. My anniversary is always September 1st. My anniversary always leads to a 24-hour sale, and thank you so much to all the people who took advantage of that and who enjoyed the free stuff that I offered as well. And just for the love, right? The love is a great thing that you guys give, and that you are such an important part of my journey towards greater love and greater wisdom. When I sit here, it is such a privilege to be a part of your journey as well. And I was just filled with that sense of gratitude, filled with that sense of knowing that this is such a privilege indeed. I do have a brand new session of Synchronicity University coming up in the month of October. You can go to synchronicityuniversity.com and learn more about the next session, and also get instant access and downloads to all the classes I've done before. There's a whole library there. But for the classes that are coming up, this session is going to be focused on the most common things asked of a astrologer. So that is something really exciting to look forward to. One class is going to be on fortune, and luck and fortune, another on career, another on signatures of long-term love in an astrology chart, and another on life purpose in the astrology chart. And thank you so much to everybody who's been registering for that. I will also be taking part in this amazing Astrology Summit that is being hosted by Astrology Hub, and it's all about raising consciousness with astrology and synchronicity. It was so much fun to talk to Amanda as part of an interview class that I did there, and there's a lot more information that is coming up later this month. This whole wonderful weekend of classes from a lot of people, a lot of notable astrologers having to do with astrology and raising consciousness. So you can find information about that Astrology Summit in the description below. With all the big things happening this week, I do think it's Saturn moving forward that is probably some of the bigger news, in addition to Venus going into shadow, of course. But Saturn moving forward is going to allow us to see how our lives can start to look different, how we can make practical gains that matter to us, and that ultimately life can change, and it can change for the better. Well, thank you so much again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.